15th. Cold outside when I woke up this morning. Very nice. Fall was in the air. It reminded me of a game day outside Scott Stadium where we would wake up, have a couple Bloody Marys, have a good base, and get ready for kickoff with friends and family. A lot of news to get to. We have a kickoff time set for the UVA Duke game, which is exciting. We have news from Virginia Tech and its president. The Hokies and its administration are committed to in-person learning. Roanoke City councilors are really in a tough spot right now with one of the councilors resigning unexpectedly midterm. We'll talk about that in Roanoke and how it could apply to Charlottesville and its city councilors. Mary Washington University is doing a tremendous job with COVID-19. Movie theaters across America are just absolutely ghost towns right now. So I'm going to take that macro headline and apply it to Charlottesville, Virginia, in particular 5th Street Station and Stonefield. We'll talk tacos in Charlottesville. I'm a huge fan of food. I try to incorporate food into every show. Maybe some of the best tacos in Charlottesville and across Central Virginia. We have a family in the Taylors, Will and Erica Taylor, who are the Chick-fil-A owners in Fashion Square Mall that are starting fresh again. That story for you on the I Love CVille show. A lot to cover. Give the show a like and a share on any of the pages you're watching the show upon. So much news today on a gorgeous Tuesday. Thank you kindly for joining us. We'll give some love to Interstate Pest and Service Companies, a home's best friend. Interstate Pest and Service Companies, they have been doing well by this community for more than 50 years. The Wells family, extended family, just first-class people, guys. The first headline I want to get to comes from Blacksburg, and it's one that really took me aback. Virginia Tech and its president, Tim Sands, is straight up now saying to the media, and if we can get that on screen, please, is now straight up saying to the media, we are 100% committed to in-person learning. Virginia Tech. Committed to in-person learning. Virginia Tech, its president, its administration has said that we are not going to send students back to their communities. We're going to keep them on campus in Blacksburg. We're going to test them often and frequently. And we are not going to go virtual. At least we have no plans to do this. Virginia Tech is taking the road of keeping students on a campus is safer for populations, the vulnerable ones, elderly, folks that already have sickness and health issues, very susceptible to COVID. So it's a very different mindset than we saw from, say, James Madison University, and more on JMU in a little bit. We'll talk about JMU extending its deadline for refunds here in a matter of moments. As more schools go on record and as more presidents say, keep the kids here, it's going to influence and cause a domino effect other schools in America. We'll see what happens with Jim Ryan and the University of Virginia. President Ryan is under significant fire. President Ryan is under fire from a COVID standpoint. There's a sign that is on the lawn at the University of Virginia that basically says F-U-C-K UVA. This is on a front door of the lawn. One of the most highly honored, you have to work your tail off to get a space here on the lawn. And one of the fourth years that's on the lawn at the University of Virginia has a sign on its door that says F-U-C-K UVA, and then it proceeds to have bullet points underneath it, basically outlining systematic racism, Thomas Jefferson's history, how he owned slaves, how he had inappropriate relationships with slaves. And what's happening is there's major drama. Alumni are demanding that Jim Ryan step in and say, eradicate this signage from the lawn in this fourth year. Jim Ryan is instead saying it's her right to speak her mind. We're going to allow her to have this profanity on ground and have the message that this school was founded on systematic racist principles and a founder that has, what the student is saying, a very shady past. Throw that into COVID, throw that into virtual learning, add the living wage issue with the university, add the health system hemorrhaging money, and this dude is under fire. So Tim Sands, the Virginia Tech president, says yesterday, we are committed to students on campus from here on out. I relay this to you because as more school presidents say this, Jim Ryan, you could probably expect, will say the same. And let's cut to the chase. This is about money. Keeping students on school and on grounds and on campus preserves the legacy, the traditional model that colleges use to rack up buku money. So follow that closely. And staying in this area, staying in Roanoke and the New River Valley, this headline jumped out to me immediately. Judah, get it on screen. He's our director. Roanoke City Councilor has unexpectedly resigned. So I won't talk too much about Roanoke. I'm going to tie this immediately to Charlottesville. Dewana Osborne has resigned from her council on Roanoke City Council. So I say this to you because there is precedent this week in the Commonwealth of counselors resigning from their post. And we have a city manager and Dr. Richardson who resigned unexpectedly. And frankly speaking, many in this community are calling for the mayor of Charlottesville, Mayor Nakia Walker, to resign from her post. So boys and girls, 2 hours down the road, counselor stepping off the dais. You got a very loud and growing population in the city of Charlottesville that's asking for the same with the mayor of Charlottesville. I'm going to leave it at that. That should be in the news cycle and in the conversation. Counselor in Roanoke resigned this week, unexpectedly. Growing population in Charlottesville asking for the same in this community. Oh my, oh my, oh my. The next headline, James Madison University, and I've already teased this a little bit, they are extending its full refund deadline from the 15th of September to the 26th. So JMU, gosh, this is such a crazy COVID world where everything is intertwined with each other. JMU is offering its students and extending its deadline with students to September 26th that they can get a full refund on tuition. Everything. So if you want to withdraw from UVA or if you want to withdraw from JMU because you started the semester in person and it went virtual and you're upset, you have to September 26th at midnight to get all your money back. This move by James Madison University undoubtedly will influence colleges and universities in the Commonwealth of Virginia to keep their schooling done in person. I mean, let's just use 1 + 1 = 2 common sense. JMU in Harrisonburg starts their school in person, less than a week, goes virtual. The move from in-person to virtual, they get so much heat and HE-double hockey sticks from the student body and their parents demanding their money back that they have to extend the deadline to give all the money back to them. If you're a Board of Visitors member or a school president at any college in the Commonwealth, maybe any college in America, you're going to say, good Lord, the James Madison University college business model is crumbling before their very eyes. They're having to give back all the money to students and their parents. Why, if you're Tim Sands, why, if you're Jim Ryan, why, if you're the president of any university in America, would you go virtual now? When JMU is having to reimburse everything to students and parents. You won't. You won't. And reading the tea leaves, Tim Sands saying we ain't going virtual at the same time when JMU is reimbursing everybody's money. You don't think those are correlated? Of course they're correlated. Virginia Tech, we're staying in person, we're committed. We ain't changing. Read between the lines, we're not giving the money back. JMU, we went in person. Maybe we did the right thing by going virtual. Now we're having to give all the money back. For those of you that are chomping at the bit that the University of Virginia makes its students go from a virtual learning environment, go to a virtual learning environment, look at what's happening at JMU. The model is crumbling. Jim Ryan sees that. The Board of Visitors see that. Next headline, Judah Wickower. We're going to see if we can get Megan Washburn on screen in a matter of moments, Judah. She did Skype me. So I think we may have a contact. We will try that here in a matter of moments. Valorie Easter and James Watson also on today's program. It's a hot show. Mary Washington University, get the headline on screen, and props to Ray Cadell for sending this over to me. Very passionate and loyal viewer of the show, Ray Cadell. Mary Washington University is handling COVID-19 like a champion. Like the best of the best in this state, boys and girls. They have signs all over campus at Mary Washington University in Fredericksburg. I guess, is it the University of Mary Washington now? Signs all over campus. Not only do you have to wear a mask when you're inside at the University of Mary Washington, but if you're anywhere on campus at University of Mary Washington, even if you're outside, you have to have a mask on. Even if you're outside, you have to have a mask on. And as a result, and Ray Cadell, put it in the feed. His daughter goes there. I believe she's a senior. As a result, Mary Washington, of any college in Virginia, is handling the management of COVID-19 the best. The numbers back it up. Now, we can say this. It's a smaller, more intimate school, so it's easier to manage and handle an outbreak like COVID-19. And that's fact. That is a fact. Richmond, University of Richmond, the Spiders, Hampton-Sydney College in Farmville, University of Mary Washington, small schools, small student bodies, less stuff to do from a bar standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, easier to manage 18 to 22-year-olds when there's not as many. Big schools, Liberty, big schools, Virginia Tech, big schools, JMU, big schools, the University of Virginia, mucho personas. A lot of students, difficult to manage. But one huge change that I'm highlighting on this show that I'm seeing in Fredericksburg at Mary Washington that we're not seeing elsewhere is not only do you have to wear the mask on in buildings on campus at Mary Washington, but you have to wear them anywhere you're on grounds. Ray Cadell, give me your thoughts in that feed. Give the show a like and a share. Give the show a like and a share. Give it a like and a share. Everything is so spiderwebbed and interconnected in this thing we call COVID-19. I got positive news I'm going to get to in regards to Will and Erica Taylor and a new shot at Chick-fil-A. I will get to that in moments. I will talk about more movie theaters collapsing across America and the fear of getting COVID in movie theaters and how that is impacting shopping centers like Stonefield and Fifth Street Station. We'll talk tacos. We'll talk Duke and UVA kickoff. The time has been set. We will talk Virginia Tech football coach saying we had no chance to play this game. We were destroyed by the students coming back. And we will talk about the fact that Las Vegas still has yet to issue a gambling line for this game with Duke and UVA. That tells me Las Vegas, and J-Dubs, throw me that earpiece over there. That tells me that Las Vegas doesn't think it's going to happen. That's what I'm talking about. Got you on screen. We got Megan on the line, Judah. We'll go to Skype. I'm very excited for this interview. had the chance to get to know one of the top pickleball players in our area. She's live for a hell of a lot of people. Not only is she a champion on the pickleball court, but she's an even better person in life. Her name is Meg Washburn. Meg, you're live for a lot of people. Give us an introduction to you.
Hey, Jerry, thanks for having me today, and thanks for that awesome introduction. Just talk a little bit about my experiences in the world. I am an elementary school teacher, and currently I'm an instructional coach for Albemarle County Schools. I've been in education for 18 years, and I coach volleyball at Monticello High School. And about 5 years ago, I discovered this unusual sport with an even more unusual name, pickleball. And I think you're starting to really appreciate that sport, and I can't wait to hear your experiences with it so far. But I've been playing for 5 years, and about 3 years ago, I met a pro named Sept, and she introduced me to Paddle Tech and helped me become sponsored, and my love for the game just grew. And I knew at that point that as a lifelong educator, I had to find a way to share that love with people. And so I became IPTPA certified, which is the International Pickleball Teaching Professional Association. And then I decided to create the Dink Doctor. So that's where I am today, and I can't wait to talk to you about pickleball.
So much to unpack here. I want to unpack a female entrepreneur launching a business. I want to unpack a sport that absolutely has its hooks in me, that I think is a sport that is almost timeless. And what I mean by that, you can play this as you age and as your body starts to break down. This sport is one we can play. I want to talk about some education. So how about the business? You're an educator. You launch a company. How challenging was that for you?
At first, it wasn't all that challenging. I came up with the idea and came up with the brand and the logo. Had some friends help me design the logo. But now that people are starting to hear about the Dink Doctor, they want me to come out and teach them more. And so it's becoming more and more of a challenge lately to find time to fit everyone in and make sure that they're getting in lessons and clinics like they want. But getting it started, that wasn't the hard part. So trying to maintain it and sustain it has been good. It's a good problem, though. Good problems to have.
You already have comments coming in. I took a clinic with Megan in Louisa County. She is absolutely fantastic and extremely patient with how she was introducing many of us who were older women that had no racket skills, and yet we all had fun and can't wait to play again. So that's a hell of a comment right there coming from Louisa. Folks in Crozet, folks at Penn Park, giving you some props right now. The love you have for the game, would you say stems from what? Because competitiveness is in your blood. We played a couple of Wednesdays ago, I believe maybe last Wednesday, and guys, she was the best player on the court by far. And to say I'm competitive is an understatement. It's my biggest strength and my biggest weakness. And that's pretty much been the story of my life. And she's playing, and she's by far the best player. But she did it in a way where everybody that was watching and playing with her was enjoying playing alongside her. She was like an evangelist and champion of the sport. How do you not, when you're playing with psychopaths like myself, how do you not return because I know you have it. I know it's in your blood. You love to compete. How do you keep so calm, cool, and collected out there? Is it just the love you have for the sport?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And what's unusual about pickleball is that most of us that are playing can remember being a beginner, right? And I know that feeling of learning the game and wanting to get better at it. And so when I'm playing with people that are starting like yourself, then I remember that part of the game. And I want you to enjoy the experience. And then as you get better, I'll start to rip it at you a little bit more.
I can't wait till you do that. And please do it on Wednesday night. I will not mind if you hit me in the throat. Okay, you an educator, it goes hand in hand with your business. How so? Give us some insight.
Well, I think I was trained as a teacher and an educator, and I think that ties in really nicely with coaching. It all overlaps so well, and it seemed natural for me to continue that. and something that I love as much as I do pickleball.
This question coming in, what an awesome sport to have during this time because we need to be outside. That's from Steve, who's playing at a Penn Park. We got this coming from right down the street at I think, is it Carver Rec Center? Right down the street.
Yeah.
We play pickleball, Jerry, all the time over here. Please tell Megan to come do a clinic at Carver. We would love to have her. Barbara Lundgren. Megan is awesome. She's very humble. Volleyball and softball coach as well. She's a great mentor to the students at Monticello High School. That's from Barbara Lundgren, who has a granddaughter who plays on the Monticello softball team, who just committed to play softball at George Mason University. So we have
Haley.
so many. You're a popular lady over here. All right, let's talk schools here. Let's talk schools. Anywhere you want to go on this topic, we all are feeling this: uncertain, vulnerable, scared. Megan, I feel like I'm a confident guy here. I wake up every single day and I have this range of emotions, where it's like, good Lord, what is this week going to bring in a COVID landscape? Right? I'm going to throw that topic to you, and then I want to throw, we're positive people, and how we're seeing students be resilient and kids be resilient and rise to the occasion when given the opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely feel that range of emotions, and I know that when I finish my work with teachers each day, I am exhausted because I'm trying to manage my emotions and be supportive for them and help them think through what they're going through with students. But I think you're right. Students are rising to the challenge in ways that I'm not sure that I expected. They are like rolling with the punches. I think we all are in this time of COVID, trying to figure out how to make this work for us so that, we continue to grow as humans and continue to learn.
Well, I think with leaders like you out there, we're all going to be in a good spot. Questions coming in here for you. How can we learn more about our business? How can we get clinics for our group to be played? When is the next time she's going to be out at public courts? We will get to all that in a matter of moments. I encourage everybody to find Dink Doctor on Facebook, where she does a phenomenal job updating her content. We got to give some love to Paddle Tech. Paddle Tech, the best of the best. Anywhere you want to go with that.
Oh my gosh, they've been so supportive throughout this time. They give me gear and paddles to play with, but not only that, I go out to competitions and it feels like I have a team, like a family. And so other Paddle Tech players, we just kind of congregate together and it's kind of beautiful. I think that's the draw for me to be sponsored with a team like that is kind of takes me back to college and being a part of a team and feeling that love again. It's nice to feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself.
Oh, well said. I personally play with a Paddle Tech racket. It's the best of the best. Guys, since I found this sport on August 1, I swear, I think I'm playing like 25 hours a week of pickleball. My wife is calling pickleball the other woman and has named her Bambi. That's how passionate I am about this. How about sports in general, holistic approach, macro approach, sports in general, especially with women, and how it can create self-confidence, which can spill into other aspects of life in general?
Wow. That's an awesome question, Jerry, and it's one that I've been thinking a lot about as I'm thinking about my girls that I coach at Monticello. What is it that I want for them when they graduate? And I think sports is a really good way to build that confidence. Again, they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and so they put in the work for not just their own growth, but for the team's growth. They learn collaboration skills, and then I think there's a confidence that comes with being able to rip a volleyball at somebody. And it's my hopes for the girls to take that confidence and transfer it into other parts of their lives. And I see that a lot in pickleball too, with the women that are that I work with and the ones that I play with. Just huge confidence boost.
How did it help you personally? Because if memory serves correct, rugby, softball, right, with you? So rugby, softball, and now this sport here. this is what I've seen. I don't know you that well, okay? You have a lot to say, and when you say it, people listen. You have a great way of communicating to people where it's approachable and humble but gets to the point. You're a quiet person. You know, I think that's safe to say. How has it personally helped you?
Well, like you said, I am a quiet person. I am extremely and sometimes painfully shy. And so with this sport, it has helped me create a community of people. And in that, I mean, I could go to Denver, Colorado and be like, hey, I play pickleball. I'm rated this. Can I come out and play with you? And so for me, it's pushed me to really communicate with people more and really put myself out there so that I'm like stepping outside of that comfort of, you know, I would just sit at my home if I could and read a book. But pickleball has helped me expand my community and really become more of an outgoing person, I think. And then like talking to you today, that would have never happened before pickleball. And so it's helped me to have the courage to do something like this today.
Why? I'm feeling a sense of emotion here. Why the emotion?
Because I think for me, building the community has helped in so many ways, but especially during this time. And it's hard, right? You're stuck at home. You can't go out. But pickleball has been one thing that I could do. And I could go out and be with people, like-minded people that I know care about me as a human. And that connection has really helped sustain me since March. And so that's why it's been so important to me that people learn about this sport, love that I have for it.
Well, I mean, like I said, I look forward to getting to know you more. I think your class and as good as it gets, and the group was saying the same thing. We just felt grateful to have you around, someone as talented as you. We are a platform of positivity. How about a message? You're a coach, you're an educator. I think you're an agent of positive change. How about a message of positivity to all those that are watching, Coach? Because we are scared right now and feeling vulnerable, and anxiety is through the roof. I mean, I have friends that I have not seen since February. Dear friends, I have not seen my dad because he's recovering from a quadruple bypass. He has diabetes and Parkinson's since February because of fear of him getting sick with his complicating factors. And I'm not alone. Everybody's in a situation like this. Anywhere you want to go on this, Coach, give us a message of hope.
Message of hope. Well, gosh, guys, I think it is, you know, like connection looks different these days. But we have to really be mindful of that and find purposeful ways of connecting with one another. And for me, that's pickleball. And I know like it's not the same being online, but it is something. So find ways to reach out to people, find ways to connect with your dad, find ways to connect with the people that you love. And pickleball is a great way to do that. So you guys come on out, come play. I'm happy to teach you. Jerry will get in there with you 25 hours worth. But just keep looking for those ways to connect with one another.
You are awesome. How do we find out more about your brand and business?
Oh my gosh, go to Dink Doctor on Facebook and message me. I'll be happy to come out and do clinics or lessons or just play with you guys.
Guys, she will brighten your day. The sport will brighten your day. I'm telling you, if you're looking for something to do that's outside, if you're older and you don't think your body can handle it, this is the sport. If you're young like me and you're used to playing racquetball in a box with 3 other people and you can't do that now and you're still looking for that outlet, this is something to do. And it's just good to be around people. I mean, I've just enjoyed like being around people. Oh, you're the best. I'm truly grateful for you. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much, Jerry. See you soon.
All right, you take care. Bye.
You.
She's the best,
Bye.
guys. The Dink Doctor is the best. I'm very impressed with what she's got going on. I'm going to go from one female entrepreneur to another one. And I'm going to welcome Valorie Easter on the show. Valorie Easter is a serial entrepreneur, and I think that's an understatement, Val. Known this lady for quite some time. If we can get that camera turned on, Val, we would love to. Oh, there we go. How are you, my friend?
This way.
That's perfect. Oh my gosh, are you in an artist studio right now? Where are you at?
This is my house.
I love the color. Is this Richmond or in the Charlottesville, Central Virginia area?
Charlottesville.
Okay. So what's new with you, Val? I mean, you got so much going on in your life. What's new in your world?
Oh man, tons of work with real estate right now, and just got back from the beach. We're there for a little bit with the kiddos during their first week of school, and just staying busy. I mean, it's been all the spring market is like catching up right now, so there's tons of properties under contract, and which is good, so I can't complain.
That's awesome. Your kids, virtual learning, being a mom, running multiple businesses. I mean, good night, Valorie Easter. I don't know how you do all this stuff here. How is all this going on? Can you give us perspective on how you're juggling everything?
Patience with a sense of urgency. How
That's
about
great.
That? So it's just, so you have to, a lot of things get thrown at you, and you just have to kind of juggle it and put it into perspective and put your little rocks and big rocks and work through the process. So
Are you launching 2 new businesses? Is that what I'm hearing? I mean, what is going? Okay, so this girl. I'm gonna brag about her. You know, she's humble. I'm gonna say this, not her. She is a badass real estate agent. She is like number one, like when it comes to like leader, alpha dog, organizer. Like she is a badass. She has so much traction and pop, proof of performance when it comes to buying and selling homes for her clients. But one of the things I think she really is good at is the process of launching a brand or a business. And I think she gets off from like an adrenaline standpoint when she's launching a brand or a business. Is that safe to say?
You know, I talked about this actually today, how I'm comfortable in chaos. And I don't know if that's a good thing. And, you know, it's like kind of this therapist talks. It's like, why am I comfortable in chaos? But I just, you know, sometimes that's my happy place, is when all of that stuff's going on and you're starting a new business and doing new things. And it's just, that's fun for me. It's fun meeting new people and getting into new endeavors and learning new things, because I'm kind of with that mindset that if you're not growing, you're dying. And so you really have to keep learning, keep growing, you know, and as the market shifts with COVID and everything going on, is, you know, shifting your sales, changing your course, seeing what's going to work best, and just lean into it. So it's fun.
Well, what's new? What are the new brands? And I can totally relate. I feel like all entrepreneurs, and maybe that's a broad stroke statement, but most of the entrepreneurs I have met have these qualities in common. They got a dabble of ADD, a dash of ADHD. They love organized chaos. We thrive on organized chaos. We love to have a lot of balls in the air. You certainly embody that. Give us some insight into what you have going on now and some of the new brands you want to launch. Oh man, I think she's frozen, and I think this question was so good. Val, do you have you? Let me see if I can reach out to you again. She's frozen. Val, I'm going to reach out to you one more time here, if we can get you on the line. James, I'm going to go to you in a matter of moments. Hold tight, James Watson. James Watson, another friend, is going to join us here. I'm ringing Val again. I really hope she answers this question, because I admire Valorie Easter and how she's overcome some challenges in her life. So I'm excited to spotlight those challenges. J-Dubs, if you could do me a quick favor and hand me that cord right there that's on the camera bag that plugs into the computer, that would mean the world to us. Thank you kindly. Very much. I'm going to get Val back in the mix now, J-Dubs. Give it a like, give it a share. Live programming at its finest here on the I Love CVille network. This is called adapting. What we got to do in life, we do on a live talk show with a reach of over 250,000 people across Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Oh, very excited. Why don't I do this? James, if you're watching, we'll see if we can get you in the mix now, and then we'll try to get Val in after that. And James Watson is an urban planner. James Watson is a champion of Charlottesville. He's one of the people from the beginning that's been watching this show. I'm grateful for James Watson and his friendship. We do have James Watson on the line here. Oh, he's got a great shirt on. He's got the degree in the background. I think he recently trimmed the beard. He's looking very sharp. James Watson could pass as Denzel today. All right, James, you are live for a lot of people, dude. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Hey, good to talk to you live and in person. I'm always watching the show every day. Biggest fan.
Well, thank you. I return it. I have the feeling for you as well. How about for those that don't know, and obviously a lot are starting to know the James Watson name with what you're doing for the city and being all over the news. But we'll keep that to the side. This is about you, James Watson. Who are you? What are you all about?
Well, real quick, I just sent you if you can check send it to you and Judah, a photo, because you just had Val Easter up there.
Uh-huh.
And about 10 years ago, I used to work at the Tiki Bar. I lived in Belmont, and I dug up a picture. Look much younger in that picture, less gray. But I've always really loved the Easter family. Great people, and had a lot of fun, working there back in I guess we can call it the mid 2000s.
That was a great time.
It really was. I mean, it was a really cool place, right there in the neighborhood. You could walk there, and that was back when I was there. That was right when Belmont, or at least what they call downtown Belmont, was really beginning to hit off. It was sad to see them shut their doors, but there's also a lot of really cool places that have popped up right in that Hinton Avenue, Monticello Avenue area. But backtracking, you asked me a little bit about myself. Primarily, I'm a dad and a husband. Been in Charlottesville for 26 years. I'm a little biased. You can see all the UVA stuff I got up. Big Wahoo fan. When you and I met probably 15 or so years ago, when you were 18 years old and getting into the bar, you and I... I don't think I knew you were that. See, I was not the bouncer, so can't blame me.
All right, I'm gonna straight up say it, James. I had a fake New Jersey ID that me and my buddies made in Dabney 101 with some copy paper and some laminate, and then we went and wreaked havoc all through Charlottesville. And that's when I met this guy here, the biggest sports fan I know, diehard orange and blue, was the barkeep at Orbit. And then we started conversating, and I'm like, this guy is the real freaking deal. I love this guy. So, James, that was like 20 years ago.
I know. And back then, though, I could tell that you were going to really go somewhere with media and TV, and it's really awesome that you started your own thing, because I really could foresee you on SportsCenter. You got the personality. Yesterday, you asked me to come on the show, and you were doing the show while you were texting me. And I'm saying, how do you even do that? I mean, there was no stuttering. You're just moving along, energy. So, as I've said, I think you're doing some incredible things. I know sometimes you get into these Facebook battles with people, but what I've seen over the last couple of years is you brought on a variety of people, nonprofits, small female-owned businesses, minority businesses, politicians. For a long time, I was working in the D.C. area, and I was still living here. My was here. I was away during the week, and that really kind of kept me in tune to what was going on. I think you got the sort of the boutique news format that 29 newsplex. They can't stop at the dime, and do what you're doing. So, giving you some praise. I got some questions to ask you, Mr. Interviewer.
Please,
but I don't want.
No, I'm willing to do that. You can shift it. I 100% you can do that. Before I do, I would be remiss not to ask this question. You are an exceptional husband and father. And I know that because I know you. I've had a couple of conversations with your beautiful better half. I'm getting to know, I'm super tight with your brother-in-law. Heck, I'm talking to your father-in-law now. I mean, good Lord.
You got to come to Thanksgiving here soon.
This is the question I have for you. Dad, one dad to another. How's it going, Dad? How are things going with the kids?
You know, we're very lucky, right? Our household, I've got 3 children. I'm a little bit of an older parent at this point with my elementary age kids. My oldest daughter is 16, and she was a Charlottesville high school student. And sometime around November of last year, she said, "You know what, Dad? I want to try something different." She went to Tandem for middle school. She went to Clark Elementary, so she's had about 5 years of city schools and about 4 or 5 years of private school. So she's had a good mix and has friends all over the city, county, private, public. And she applied to, well, we looked around at different schools. We went out to Miller School. And I looked at the campus and I said, wow, this looks like Hogwarts. I mean, absolutely beautiful trees and a swimming pool and his history. But I'm saying there's no way I can afford this, right? This is just for rich people and there's going to be no diversity and all these other things went through my head. And when we went for the open house, it was actually more diverse, more accepting, just more creative. The class sizes are like 10 kids. So we went ahead and applied. She got a scholarship, and that was a real blessing. And then, of course, being 16, it's a lot easier in the COVID world to sort of have a 16-year-old do online or in person or hybrid. So Miller, you broke the news. They were the first local private school to go online, and we were really excited about her going into class because, they've got 1,600 acres. But I think they're going to most likely get back on campus, probably a little earlier than some of the local schools. And they are doing a couple times a week. You can do sports up there. If you play baseball, you play with the kids at the school. She'll do cross country, so she'll run around. They've got a golf team. They got all kinds of stuff. But the other thing, not to go on and on, my son got into, who's 6 years old, he's in first grade. He got into a program that was started out there too for little kids. And this little man gets to literally run around in the woods and play with bunnies and pigs and, the stuff that kids should be doing. And you almost really wish that we could take our whole system and just rejuvenate it all, revise it, and come up with something new anyway, because just sitting in the classrooms, listening to a teacher speak probably isn't, and I know you with ADD, it was probably rough.
It was brutal. It was
Yes,
brutal. If I was learning outside in that type of setting, it would have been way easier. He's 1,000% right. Throw this to you here. As a mom and dad, the best thing you've seen with your kids from a resiliency and adapting, and the saddest thing that pulled at your heartstrings and where you're like, God, that crushed me as a mom and dad here in this COVID world?
Well, there's probably no shortage of, it kind of leaned me towards the sad. I think it's just sad in general seeing kids have to wear masks. Like kids should be free, right? They should play with each other. They should run. They should climb. They should jump. They should tackle each other. And seeing the numbers of people that are struggling right now. I just told you my story, right? But I'm an older parent. I've been working a long time. So I was able to come up with something. But I could foresee you and I would talk back in, May and June. I'm like, if there's no vaccine, how are people going to go back to school? How can parents go back to work? So I think the domino effect that the entire impact of COVID is having on just everyday people. And I know that first month we were doing the homeschool and I gave up, and I've got a master's degree. I've got food in the house. I've got internet. A lot of people don't have all those luxuries. And so, we even just gave up. I just started taking my kids hiking. Hey, let's go outside. Let's just run around. Let's ride bikes. So the saddest thing for me is the impact it's having on so many people. But the resiliency, I think kids are resilient naturally. I think that sometimes you can be experiencing something that you think that they're not even enjoying, and they're having the greatest time. Like, you go out and buy a bunch of toys. You have a 2-year-old. Your son may love the box more than remote control car
So
that you
true.
So, I just ask anybody watching and listening that's out there struggling, just hang in there. Try your best. I think as parents we can beat ourselves up, but we don't. Our system or the whole paradigm of everything we know instantly changed. Right? We're not all teachers. Our homes are not schools, and I just pray and hope that people will stay in there, and hopefully something changes and we get schools back open. I actually kind of think they should be open now. And if you look at Louisa, smaller county, but it's not a whole lot different than, let's say Charlottesville. They're making it happen. We need to consider doing a hybrid. If a family has, grandparents or family members with health issues, then let's do hybrid learning. I'm doing it now in my job. I went to Huntsville, Alabama, 10 of us in a big conference room and another 10 on the, just like this, watching it on video. But, kids being at home, I worry about the long-term impacts. So.
Well said. I 1,000% agree with James Watson. How long have you been in Charlottesville, James?
Before they had smartphones and, all that technology, I got here back in 1994. It was my first year. And I actually came here, grew up in New Jersey. Came here the first time in a minority summer program that was hosted at Darden. And it's a program I'd love for them to bring back, because here I am growing up in New Jersey, and the program was reaching out to find minority students interested in becoming entrepreneurs. But really, when you're 17, 18, you don't really know what you want to do. But, it exposes, I think there was about 5 other schools, and they're all great schools: UVA, Duke, Penn, Berkeley, top-notch Ivy League type schools. I knew nothing about UVA, believe it or not. I knew of Ralph Sampson. Don Staley grew up, not too far from me, but I didn't know. All I knew was athletic stuff. And I got into this program as a 17-year-old. They literally flew me down here to Charlottesville. I saw the campus. I said, this is beautiful. I had been my brother went to Temple in Philly. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. There's graffiti everywhere. You got gunshots and all kind of stuff going down. I came here. I said, man, this place is clean. There's nothing broken. There's rolling hills. There's beautiful ladies. So I went to that program, got in, and like yourself, I stayed during the summers. It took me a long time to get my undergrad. I was out of state, didn't have the money. I busted my butt, worked, in those restaurants all up and down the corner for years and years, and, got my bachelor's, my master's, paid for it all myself. UVA, has a lot of privileged people. I wasn't one of them, but it's made me, I would say, a much stronger person and more aware of what's going on around me.
Gosh, that was a good answer. I love this guy. All right, so you have 26 years in this town. I'm now at 20 plus. We have a lot of similarities in that we came to school here. We fell in love with the school, the sports, the grounds, the bars, the ladies. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then we started saying, look, this community's been good to us. Now it's time to return the favor and be good to the community. 26 years in this town, your temperature, your mood, your feeling on how and where this town is at, James.
It's really hard to get a hand wrapped around what the heck, what we're, the beast that we're dealing with right now, right? I mean, we have COVID, so that's everywhere, and nobody's got a handle on that. And I think a lot of the times prior to COVID, you and I and there's probably 10 of us. Matthew Gillikin and Rory and Keith Smith and lots of people trying to figure out, okay, how do we provide affordable housing, right? How do we how do we create more opportunities, in Charlottesville for more people, because it's not the town that I moved to. I mean, it's fundamentally a great town, but when I came here, my wife and I bought our first house in Belmont for under $100,000. It's like 90-some thousand dollars, right? In 2001. So that wasn't even in the 90s. I mean, it's early 2000s, but the same kind of house was like $400,000 at least 12 years after that, right? So, you talk about a lot is getting extremely expensive. I don't think COVID is helping. So I want to try to do what I can to help, right? Like I've been fortunate enough to see some things, do some cool stuff. I work for the Department of Defense. I've been all over the country. But I'm hoping, to find avenues, right? With 3 kids, not a lot of time. As you know, I'm part of the Charlottesville Police Department Civilian Review Board. I got into that because, I want to see better relations between community and the police. I want to see, I'd like to see kids from the area actually come out of high school, go to the Piedmont criminal justice program, and ultimately become part of the force. And, I've got a lot of other ideas on how to sort of create some positive realities and positive stories in those terms, and willing to do other things. But that's kind of where I am right now. I'm at that point where I really just want to give back, make a difference.
Yeah. How hard is it to give back? How hard is it to make a difference? How hard is it to be an agent of positive change?
I think the only real challenge is time when you're a parent and you have a full-time job. But, I watch like some of the people that you have on, like Freddie Jackson.
He's watching right now. Freddie's watching now.
Yeah. That dude's incredible, man. I mean, I'd like to link up with him and do more, try to do some things with him. But, him and Robert, a lot of the folks that you had on, I've been introduced to by watching your show. And those guys, they don't even know. They've motivated me, So, but for me, it's time. With 3 kids that are all different ages. My wife owns a hair salon. I've got a business on the side. I downsized it, but I've got a job that has me travel at least once a month. But, and then sometimes it's money, right? Like sometimes I'm sitting there thinking, if I had a little bit more money, and I don't want to always ask people for money, I can do it. I saw a post on Facebook about all these international kids right now that are doing the homeschool, refugee families. A friend of mine who started the pods at Greenbrier, and she's saying that she's helping out some of the refugee children with the homeschool, but a lot of them don't know how to use a tablet, never seen one, don't know how to plug them in, and I was saying, well, can I help you in any kind of way? She said, well, if you can get any little toys and puzzles and things like that, so that they can have something to do because when they're doing Zoom school, there's breaks, right? And things that, we take for granted that are in our house, they may not have. So kind of all over the place here, but again, just looking to help, looking to help. Like, things are good, on my side, we're doing well, and but I don't have a lot of time. That's the other thing,
I feel you. Freddie Jackson
Yeah.
said, thank you, James. He gave you the hands up emoji. He's ready to talk whenever you're ready. Jonathan DeVivi. I absolutely love James Watson. That's from Jonathan DeVivi. And I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up, Jonathan. Tim is saying, I remember this guy from the Tiki Bar. He always had a smile on his face when we would go over there. I live off Goodman in Belmont.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to throw some questions to you that are important to you and I.
All right.
Wealth gap in this town is expanding more than ever. We got, and you just outlined it. We got some kids that are just, Barbara Lundgren made this point yesterday. How many kids are struggling with the internet like this on a Zoom call and learning virtually and are just either frozen or just not paying attention? The teacher doesn't know it because there's 15, 20 kids in the Zoom call, right? And we're on Zoom calls all the time. We just had one with Val that froze, and she's in Crozet, and she's a successful real estate agent, and Xfinity is just causing a little hiccup right now. So it happens. So Barb made the point here, Barbara Lundgren, who I love, she made the point, how many people are actually in school but not in school with this? How many people are going to be set back? Anywhere you want to go on these topics, James?
Yeah, I really do believe that this is the lost school year. I really do. I've seen people write on Facebook, hey, why don't we just do a gap year, right? Like, I know when my daughter graduates high school next year, instead of her going off to college, my wife's already said, hey, no, she needs to go get a job for 6 months, get an apartment, learn how to be an adult, right? Like, I don't think I should even went to college anyway right out of high school.
Me either.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't ready, and I learned more working in a restaurant than I did at UVA. Part of that's my personality too, I love people. But why do we need to rush through, right? Making all these parents try to feel bad about themselves doing virtually the impossible. People with money can hire a teacher, as you said. Maybe they've got degrees, they've got extra rooms. They probably live in nice neighborhoods and bring more kids over, going to private school. So, yeah, I mean, when everything goes back to normal, if you've been taught by your parents or grandparents or, choppy internet, choppy start, stop, I mean, there's no way a sixth grader that has had that is going to be a seventh grader in September of next year. So, and nobody was prepared for this level of just everyday people, put in a major disadvantage. So I don't know. I think that one of the main things we can do is figure out ways to get the schools back open. I think, you think outside the box. My daughter, I was telling her, hey, if school's on next year, because we don't know when there's going to be a vaccine, right? So I'm saying if there's no school next year, why don't you go to Piedmont? Why don't we just have our seniors that may have the 3.3 or whatever, let's get them out of school. Let's open up more space. If we need to have smaller classes, if we need to use CHS as a middle school and elementary, who still needs to be in, I hate to say it, but who still needs to be in? My senior year, I had 2 study halls. I was taking up space. So I think they're going to have to start looking at alternative ways of doing business. Just like Bodo's, they opened up their
drive-through.
Right? They're making money.
Yeah.
You're a business person, you adapt. The government doesn't always adapt the same way, but, if we're going to still be in this, they've got to do something, and come up with some different ideas.
Vanessa Parkhill giving you guys some props right now. Ray Cadell, welcome to the show. The broadcaster, Joe Thomas, welcome to the show. He's watching as we speak here. Give James a like and a share here. Why did you feel compelled to join the Police Civilian Review Board?
Well, August 17th, I was living in Belmont, right? Been there for years. Love all kinds of people. My family's black and white. I love everybody, right? Everybody. So I naturally want to bring people together. But there's Nazis parking on my street, right? I'm an interracial couple living in this house that I own. I'm already in Charlottesville 17, how many years I've already been there? And I'm like, is this really happening? Right? Now, I'm not saying it's the Charlottesville police's fault, right, at all. But I also saw a lot of what would look like a stand down on that day, too. I didn't see a whole lot of people being protected. Now, there may have been, I work with the military, there may have been an order that if we get involved too much, then it could start off a major domino effect. I don't know, but it was a total disaster. I'm not an activist. I'm not a politician. I got no desire. People say, why don't you run for office? No, I don't want to do that. But I want to help. So for me, being out in the street with signs and all that, we need people that do that, right? We need people that protest and boycott. But I felt like with the amount of education that I've gained, people I know, places I've been, that being part of something that was more formalized would allow me, a venue to then help create change. But there's a whole lot that comes with that, right? Because there's still politics. And I don't like the political component of it. But my goal is, again, to bring people together and create opportunity. Stop the violence.
Great answer right there.
I don't want to see anymore. Yeah.
Great answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
your kids in the future, you worry about them? I mean, we got a crazy time we're in here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a positive guy, but it is one hell of a time to be raising little kids for all of us, right? Because, I mean, you literally can't go to school, right? I mean, when you can't, my dad is 85. I can't go to my dad and be like, yo, back when you were 17 and you had a pandemic, and businesses were closing down everywhere, what did y'all do, right? Like, there's not even really a reference point. But I'm a positive person, right? I do believe we'll get out of this. I think that a lot of times, just like a forest when it burns, new opportunities will arise. My wife and I talked about it this morning. There's people sitting in jobs that may go out of business, but that some of those people are going to start new businesses and more efficient businesses, and there'll be new nonprofits. So I think a lot of new things will come out of this. It's just a matter of how long will we be in this state, Are we going to be this way a year from now? I hope not. But if we can get out of it, maybe in 6 to 8 months, I mean, who knows the time frame, right? But if we can get out of it sooner than later, I think we can get back to normal. And I think that innovation and new opportunities will arise. And I think, there'll be some positive outcomes, but there's going to be, negative effects. No matter how positive I am or anybody, there's going to be negative realities too that come from people losing their jobs, kids being home, So hopefully we just get out of it sooner than later. Basically, that's pretty much all I got on that one.
I sense some emotion there in your voice there, James. Your voice was cracking a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's like we already had some problems. Any problem we already had in terms of cost of living and just basic opportunity. Right now, everybody that was really struggling is 100 times worse. And again, what do you look at as your framework to? Because we don't even know if Virginia Tech going to play football, right? We don't even know if football is going to be around for 3 or 4 more weeks. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're looking at football with no fans. I mean, we're not even in the same universe that we were in, at any time since the Spanish flu. Who's ever talked about the Spanish flu? So, on another note, real quick though, we got one for you. You've been saying on your shows that you may run for political office. What are your thoughts and aspirations with running for political office?
Great question.
Potentially, I'm not gonna say you're definitely running. But.
Well, it's now down to my wife.
Okay. The boss.
Yeah, it's down to the boss. So the boss has the final say. If the boss gives the green, I'm in. And
okay.
It's very much like you. All right, here's what I see. I've been here 20 years. This town has been, like you, so good to me. It's been so good now to my wife. Now my kid, and I feel compelled to give back and make change. I'm a God-fearing man, and I feel like you, God has blessed us with leadership and human connection, and people will follow us. It happened when I started realizing in 4th or 5th grade, captain of the sports teams. And that started going into high school and then to the school. And then stuff like, why is there not ubiquitous internet across Central Virginia? I mean, that's a public utility. And the fact that we don't have ubiquitous internet now means our most impoverished families, many of them families of color, are being left behind because they don't have a proper internet connection. How about affordable housing? And I know it's talked about ad nauseum. Why is it $1,600 for a 2-bedroom house? It's more to rent a house than it is for a mortgage. How's that fair?
Right.
How about public
Yeah.
transportation? Why is public transportation not more ubiquitous and approachable? If we had a better public transportation system in Central Virginia, that would alleviate the affordable housing issue that we have. I mean, I would run on a platform that is, everyone knows this, a libertarian at heart. I'm not saying I would run as a libertarian, but I'm a libertarian at heart. I would run on a platform that supports small and medium-sized businesses. I would prioritize making the community approachable to everybody, creating ubiquitous internet for everybody. I think the legalization of cannabis is a must, because the people that are getting popped with marijuana are disproportionately people of color. You get someone that's white that gets popped with pot, and someone that's black that's popped with pot. The numbers, and Google it, the person that's white ain't gonna get in trouble most likely, where the person that is black is gonna do some time potentially. And that ain't right. Okay? How about this whole pipeline thing where a monopoly can come in and eminent domain our property and take our land from us? What the heck is that? And I'm not saying I have all the answers. What I am saying is I have a platform. What I am saying is I have a supportive family, some resources here, and I have some thick skin where I'm willing to weather the storm and criticism that comes at me.
Well, awesome. Yeah, that's what you need, definitely. So what's your number one priority?
My number one
Yeah.
for running for office?
Yeah.
Well, I think right now my number
Or is there a low-hanging fruit, right? Because we those are some big issues. Is there a low-hanging fruit that you can maybe tackle right away if they put you in office right now?
Great question. My number one priority if I was running for office right now, I really mean this. We are forming an incredibly favorable partnership with Ting Fiber Internet, which is the best of the best. This partnership is a B2B partnership that you're seeing all over this program. I would leverage the business community that I'm incredibly well indoctrinated and connected with, and I would figure out a way to create revenue to roll out ubiquitous fiber across the 5th District, Central Virginia, Albemarle County, whatever position I choose to run. Because if we do not make consistent and quality internet ubiquitous to people in Nelson County and Louisa County and Orange County, heck, in the city of Charlottesville, we have people in the city of Charlottesville that literally do not have access at home to internet. How are we ever going to close the wealth gap or bridge or have positive impacts on social justice when some people can't learn and other people are learning at an exponential rate? That's only going to create a generation of students that come out with a base of education, and it's going to create a generation of students that are come out with no base. That's what I would do first, James. And we're seeing that now in COVID, how important that is.
Yeah, when they were having the Democratic primary, Claire Rousseau versus the good Dr. Webb, who I'm a supporter
Love Dr.
of.
Webb.
He's a real superstar. But I through another friend, I had met Claire about a year ago, and I wasn't really too much into politics, like I said, but I met her through a friend, and then didn't know Dr. Webb was going to run at the time. And I'm, hey, anything you need, I'm from the area, because I like what she had to say. But I remember when COVID hit, and here's somebody who's running for Senate. She lives in Earlysville. I think she's got 3 kids. She didn't even have internet at her house fast enough to support her 3. Here's somebody who's, pretty successful. Her husband's pretty successful. So, yeah, I mean, that's just it's like electricity nowadays, right? You got, it's like maybe in 1801, some people didn't have electricity. Most might have. I might have my years wrong, but yeah, if you meet somebody without internet, it's almost like saying, I got no power.
Right, and there's thousands of families in Central Virginia that do not have what he's calling electricity. It's like not saying you have running water. I mean, how is it? It is a public utility. It must be a public utility. How about immigrant reform? My mother is Cuban. She, in the 3rd grade, because of Castro and because my Mima and my Papi, my grandparents, were actively involved in a democratic Cuban government, These were the type of people that were being killed. And Poppy and Mima went to my mom and said, we are leaving at 1 a.m. Bring anything that you can fit into a backpack. And we're going to get on this barge on the lower deck, and we're going to go from Cuba to Miami. And my mother was put in the 3rd grade without being able to speak English, and she was Cuban. And she said students went up to her and pointed their finger at her face, called her names, and ridiculed her mercilessly to the point she entire 3rd grade was coming home in tears. Mima went from being an upper-class woman to being a hotel maid, and Poppy went from being an entrepreneur to being a barber and a ditch digger. And I look around, and this shows you that I'm a libertarian, and I look around and I see our government, federal, and I'm not even going to go down that road, literally treating immigrants in this company as if they have the scarlet letter and that they should be booted. And it just breaks my heart, because I know if Mima and Poppy and my mom were around now, would they even be allowed in the country? Would I even be born?
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of, we won't, I don't know how much time I got left. But one of the things too, when you talk about the federal level, without even going into the president, the fact that the Congress hasn't, you and I talked about this the other day, they haven't even gotten together since they put they put out the CARES Act, they had the PPP loans, they had people got the, I can't even think of the stimulus check, and, but it's like, okay, that was April. Where are you guys? How can they be on recess? And that is very disappointing. We're in a worldwide pandemic, and they're not even, trying to do anything, really, literally. And it's not even me being critical. It's just like fact, right? They're not even meeting. How's that possible?
It's shocking.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely shocking. Public servants in Congress and Senate, that literally this is the time for them to be leaders and to unify the community. This is why we voted them in office, are playing a negotiation leverage game to try to impact and influence a November 3rd election. And instead of thinking about the Jerrys and the James and the Judahs and the Valories and the Meg Washburns and the Rob Grays and the Fred Jacksons and anyone in Charlottesville and anyone in America where we're vulnerable and scared and we're like, what the hell are we going to do? They're playing a political chess match. And you know what it is? And I'll straight up say it, it's bullshit.
I agree. Which could be a reason to stay away too, Jerry, as far as going into politics.
But I'll throw this to you. You, and I promise you we would not talk about the Police Civilian Review Board, and I'm a man of my word. But
we can talk a little bit about it. I want to talk about you.
Yeah, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about you. Jump into I'm going to be straightforward. You jumped into a hornet's nest. You're making what? You're making what? $500? Are you making any? Are you getting paid at $0?
Volunteer, man.
Okay, it's a volunteer. This dude jumped into a hornet's nest after George Floyd's murder. The police, depending on what side you stand, have either been championed or vilified. And I'm pro-police. I am pro-police. Are there bad apples in the police? Hell yeah. But I am pro-police. Okay? You jumped into a hornet's nest. You're not getting paid. You're away from your family. You're freaking grinding. And you did it. Why? Why did you do it?
Well, like I said, I think that Charlottesville has a lot of potential to be a better place. It's only, 10 square miles?
10.2.
10.2. I grew up in a major metropolitan area, urban area, and I lived the greater part of the last 10 years in D.C. Cases like George Floyd in those metropolitan areas actually happen probably, I'd say, every 5 weeks. They don't even make the national news. Lots of bad stories. I've been watching them my whole life. I've had family members impacted, and I don't even think Charlottesville is nearly as dire as of area like Camden, New Jersey, which was near where I grew up. And I think there's a lot of potential. I think there really is. I think we can turn it around. We're small. I think people. I think we need people part of this that are willing to listen and talk, communicate. And I'm also glad we got my voice is all messed up, but excuse me, we got Bellamy Brown too, which I'm really excited about because he can communicate, he can think. Like, I'm not coming there just to argue, right? Let's put our heads together, pull our sleeves up, and come up with a strategy, right? But our area probably is far from the worst, right? We're not a major crime city. Richmond, DC have probably 10 times the amount of murders. But, we've got problems, right? We got problems. And we had this rally that they allowed happen, right? People were allowed to go to our campus, UVA, crap it all up. And guess what? Go to bed like a football game night, wake up and do it again. If I went out there with that degree in hand, I'd be shot in this country, right? Even with a degree. People that never been here crapped all over our town. So that was kind of one of the main. I know that's not going to happen most likely again, but I'm like, hey, we need help, right? We need help because that was considered acceptable. And we're still just taking statues down, right? Excuse me, the main statue that was one of the reasons behind that is still sitting there because to some people that's acceptable. So whatever I can do to make the situation better, I'm here.
Well, I am. We are lucky to have you, dude. I mean, you were as class gets. I mean, you were like A+ people, man, and I mean that, dude. I sincerely, genuinely, proud to call you a friend, and I'm so grateful that you are out there, making, trying to bridge a gap, because I can imagine as a black man and you being on the police civilian review board, you've probably caught some shit from people.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's going, it's interesting, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. You expect to, right? I mean, this has been a problem for 400 years, right? We've had racial problems tied to policing, and you're not going to solve them in 4 meetings, right? But I think that what was unique about this year, as you saw, there's been a worldwide effort, recognition. People are recognizing it, right? A lot of these murders would happen, and it wouldn't even, it would be like a news story and a T-shirt, and then it's all over. And the NBA, the NFL, major corporations, everybody's looking at it. So this is actually a great time, and I've invited some fairly big names in our state government, and they've shown up. So I think the time is now. It's a good time. There's never been a bad time, but people are talking about this issue. The governor has a special session. They're putting out legislation that's going to support boards like ours. So yeah, the time is now, and anybody that wants to help, hey, we're all ears. Come on with us.
Oh, man, you're good people. The time is now. That is a mantra we need to embody. The time is now. James Watson, an absolute joy, man. I think we just went, how long have we done on this interview? What time does your Skype timestamp say? Does it say 36 minutes we've been together here?
Let's see.
It's an absolute pleasure, James. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. All right, James Watson. Oh, man. And I'm going to close on this. And obviously, we're not going to get to the rest of the news. The news that we had on the show, we do a segment called the I Love CVille Daily Digest. It airs at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. on the I Love CVille network. All your news in 5 minutes or less at 5 p.m., 5 days a week. Wow, there it is right there. That just literally came to me on the fly. All your news in 5 minutes or less, 5 days a week at 5 o'clock. I want to close on this. And I'm going to get the heck out of here because we got a conference call with an important client. The fact that we are in September, was it the 15th of 2020, and thousands of people and families and students and moms and dads do not have ubiquitous, reliable, and strong internet will undoubtedly set a generation of Americans back. It will further the wealth gap. It will create more social unrest. How would we respond if people down the street in Charlottesville didn't have electricity or running water? All of us as Charlottesvillians, as Virginians, as Americans would be screaming from the rooftop, they don't have electricity. They don't have running water. And we would do anything in our power to make the difference so they could have these public utilities. It's the same thing with the internet in a time where mom and dads are expected to work from home and sons and daughters are expected to learn from home. As the son of a Cuban, the son of an immigrant, I heard and even saw firsthand how immigrants in this country are being treated. And it starts at the top in the White House. And I have said so many times on this show, we have two caricatures running for president in America. A man with a corrupt moral compass and a man who has unstable mental faculty. And these are our two choices? I have never felt more disenchanted, yet more motivated to get involved as a Charlottesvillian, Central Virginian, as an American. I feel angry, but I feel positive. I feel frustrated, but I feel ready to work. I'm a small business owner of multiple businesses, and I see locally that our leadership in the city and in the county snubs their nose to small business owners instead of championing and offering resources so we can create more jobs and drive more tax revenue. Do you think the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors made a good decision when they disallowed a new Tiger Fuel market off the Boyd Tavern exit that would have created 24 new jobs and hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenue every year? Do you think that was a good decision now when our schools are operating at a budget deficit, 3,000 kids sprinted from Albemarle County, and now the Commonwealth is going to give Albemarle County Public Schools $2.2 million less money? Do you think it's a good decision that the mayor of the city of Charlottesville is telling the New York Times that Charlottesville is an ugly to the soul place? The mayor of the city of Charlottesville is straight up saying, I'm going to rebuild this city in the image that I think it should be? Snubbing her nose to the small business community that creates the jobs, builds the foundation for Central Virginia and Charlottesville? It's not. I have thick skin. I do not mind if people call me names. If anything, it invigorates me and it drives me to make more change. Bring it the F on. There's nothing I like more in life than being told that I can't do something. When I started this business 12 years ago with $32,000 of life savings, before I started this business, I was working as a broadcaster for ESPN for NBC 29, 2 TV shows on NBC 29, a syndicated ESPN show 5-6 days a week in 3 states on 12 affiliates, and a daily story in the Daily Progress. I was making bank, especially for somebody in his mid-20s. And I said, I'm going to throw it all away. Throw it all away was the wrong terminology. I'm going to put this to a side to launch a company because I know I'm a number one and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm ready to be a leader. And when I walked into the condo at the Villas of Southern Ridge, that's a rental property right now, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend at the time, and 3 other good, super tight friends had an intervention and begged me not to do this and say, you can't do this. And the very next day I went in and I quit at the newspaper and I said, I'm ready to rock and roll. $32,000 of life savings to start the business turned very quickly into about $3,000 in the bank account. I had to invite 2 friends to come into the condo and to take 2 other rooms and offer them rent below market just so I could cover the mortgage. If they had not done that, I would have defaulted and lost the place. I was going to the Panda Garden buffet with Ziploc bags in my pocket when they were not looking. I was scraping Chinese food off a plate and putting it in a Ziploc bag, and that was my food for 2 days and my food for Lucy, my Chow Chow German Shepherd, her food for 2 days, because I could not afford to buy her food or go to the grocery store. I was looking in friends' couches and finding change so I could get $1.06 for a McDonald's double cheeseburger. And this is fact. My pride and my ego prevented me from asking my mom and dad for help. But one thing led to another, and now I have a lot. And anyone that would see it would agree. And I'm doing that not as someone who's looking to say, hey, look at me. I'm doing that because I know I have a lot because of this community and this town and this area and this region. And God has blessed me with talents of human connection and charisma and being able to use my words to communicate messages to people. And if I use that talent strictly for for-profit purposes, then I'm doing a disservice to God. And I know I'm going to get heat, and I know I'm going to get grief, and I know people are going to try to pick me apart, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. This is the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller.